A lot of times I'll get the myth of, I don't have millions of dollars, I can't do it. Guess what? In your small town, you don't need millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
You might need one or $200,000 plus a loan from the bank. If a deal pencils and a deal makes sense, there is money to be had in any community. It's just there's very few people willing to take the action to go put the whole deal together and make it happen.
Today on Beyond the Listing with Pam Flitton, I'm your host, Pam Flitton with Remax Fine Properties, a real estate agent with over 24 years of real estate experience and the owner of the Platinum Property Group and here in Austin, Texas. If you're looking for any real estate advice or looking to buy or sell, I'm your go-to gal, and my information will be attached. And today, my guest is Kristi Kandel. She is a real estate developer and founder of the IND Consulting, and she has experience in leading projects across the whole country and small towns, big towns. She has a world of information, and you are going to enjoy what she has to say. You too can be developing all sorts of things. Kristi, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm a real estate developer, investor, and I teach locals how to do development in their own community. And our current project that we're working on is honestly one of the most fun that I've done in my entire career, which is Elevate Southwest Florida. And we're creating a sports and wellness community-led destination to just bring our community members together and give us a place besides a bar or a restaurant to come out and hang and spend time and be active and healthy and social with people in our community.
Well, it sounds like a great passion that you have for this project. How did you get into it?
So since I've been a developer for nearly 20 years, I've worked across all different sectors of commercial, industrial, residential, clean energy, affordable housing. And through that, I've been able to also work nationwide. So in California and Florida and everywhere in between. And I've worked with private equity. I've worked with venture capital. I've worked with traditional investors that are just smaller friend groups. And through all of that, kind of started to understand how deals came together. And I took a small stint where I thought that I could help our communities by being on the public side, and I ran for county commissioner and then sat on the planning commission. And I realized, oh, no, government moves too slow. I like to break things and I don't like to follow rules. I like to create my own. So I'm like, I need to stay on the private side. But what that taught me also is public-private partnerships and how we can go together. All of that experience got me to the point where every time didn't matter how old or young people were, they're like, how do we make friends as adults? And I just kept thinking about that for a couple of years. And after my commute, yeah. And it's how do we do that? Because we're not literally, if I try and plan something with a friend, it might be 3 months before we finally get dinner together. I'm like, okay, we need to go. This needs to be more accidental.
Right. We don't have recess.
Really just thinking, we don't have recess, we don't have after school soccer, we don't have this or that. And it's okay, hold on, we need to create this. So I use sports as a way to make friends in new communities. But I know there's people who are not athletic or can't play anymore. So it's like, what else brings us together? And it's the commonality is we all choose to live in the communities we're in. For whether it's because we have other family there, whether we have school, whether we have kids that need certain things, or if we work there. So it's like, all right, we already have commonalities in that. So how do we get us to come together long enough to be able to talk and hang out and start to build those relationships? And if you think about, I don't know if you do like yoga, Pilates, any of that, you go to that class. And then if you want to hang out afterwards and not rush off somewhere, you then need to drive to a coffee shop or you need to drive to go get lunch. So you're constantly leaving to get to the next place. So I was like, why don't we just put it all in one spot? Let's have sports. Let's have wellness. Let's have food. Let's have walking trails. Let's have an immersive building. Let's have a dog daycare and a kid daycare. So literally removing all the friction behind what would make someone not be able to stay or not come at all.
I love that. So I think they're building one here in Austin, around the North Austin part of it. I went to Pilates this morning. Everybody dispersed. There was no talking. Everybody left. And I have a small gym that I go to in the mornings, and knock on wood, I'm so thankful that we're able to talk in it, and everybody, so it's home. But it's so hard to meet people as adults or to have a relationship
Mm-hmm.
because you're always busy working. And again, you don't have recess, so you are correct. To have some place that you can sit and talk and meet people is a wonderful thing, and I think you should have all of these in communities.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just reinventing our park
Yeah,
system. Our parks served a good purpose at one time. They're not quite there
yeah,
anymore. So it's just, all right, let's think differently.
yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're correct that the government system probably works at a much slower pace than what a individual or a group of people can
Yeah.
do, for sure. That's awesome. So you started this project. How long is that going to take to work?
So we started it, and we also did, because now everyone, yeah, if you build in public, you can bring people along with you. So it was a little over 200 days ago it was last August that we came up with the idea. And because of my 20 years of development experience, it was like, okay, I know the pieces we need to put together to make this happen. It's a 5 to 6 year development process. It's $140 million plus. We'll have 3 tiers of funding with accredited investors, crowdfunding through our local real estate developer platform, and then a nonprofit public-private partnership component to where it's going to be really complicated. But the whole point of building this is that it doesn't matter what your economic status is or anything. It's you belong at Elevate Southwest Florida because you're a member of the community.
Right.
So we do need to make it to where it's accessible to all. So there will be parts that are free once it's completely built out that are free to the public just because they live there. And then there will be tiers on that for the different things.
Like a elevated YMCA, kind of. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so YMCA's are 2 to 5 acres. This would be 15 to 20
That's
acres.
awesome.
So all the outdoor soccer, sports fields, beach volleyball, pickleball, basketball, and then all the indoor stuff too, and climbing and immersive buildings and dog parks and all the wellness and studios and athletic trainers and swimming. So yeah,
Well,
basically anything that keeps you young, fun, like bring the Peter Pan back in all of us. Like, why do we get old and crotchety? Let's keep having fun as adults. Let's keep enjoying
so
and smiling and
what did I
laughing.
hear not too long ago? It's because you let the old man in, right? So don't let the old man in and you won't get old. So this
That's
sounds
right.
wonderful. It
That's
really
right.
makes me want to move there, but I would prefer you to bring it here to me. So how can you bring
Well,
this
very much,
we
yes.
earlier
Literally,
how you can bring something like this to, let's say, a smaller town, or how you could do things. How can you bring a development into a smaller town, or how could you do something like this?
yeah. So bigger picture, what we're doing is we're creating the proof of concept in Southwest Florida, and then we're creating the next location in St. Pete. So we're showing the scale. We're tracking both the economic impact on the
Mm-hmm.
region, but then also the health and happiness impact to where we can go, hey, look, not only are you going to be healthier, happier, and just enjoy life more in this community, but here's the dollars that go with
Mm-hmm.
it to then be able to create that blueprint, both for city officials, debt, equity, all of that. But part of that is just to show, hey, there is demand for this in our towns and in smaller towns, like we had talked about. I grew up in a town of 2,500 people. No, we're not going to build a 20-acre, $200 million
Sure.
facility, but you can build a smaller version of that. You can build that community space. You can take the building that's maybe downtown and it's got 1 or 2 storefronts that are there. One's closed down. There's apartments above, but they're a little slumlordy or just need a
Mm-hmm.
facelift. And you can take that building and you can start to make that ripple effect in your community. And you can refurbish and retrofit the commercial spaces and get new businesses in, and you can turn the apartments above around and get those rented out and just start to be part of the change that brings new life into your town and community.
That's awesome. So anybody could do something like this. It doesn't take somebody that has 20 years of experience. It could take just one person to have a vision to do something like this.
100%. And a lot of times I'll get the myth of, I don't have millions of dollars, I can't do it. Guess what? In your small town, you don't need millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
You might need 1 or 200,000 dollars plus a loan from the bank. And you might say, I definitely don't have $100,000 or $200,000.
Sure.
You as a developer, because of how long it takes to do a deal. So let's say most people are familiar with fix and flips. You might flip a house in 30 to 90 days, get it sold, get it back on the market. A development takes the exact same amount of steps as a fix and flip, but it's over maybe 9 to 15 months. So it's the same amount of work and it's over that time, but there's more detail and nuance to it, to where it's meant to have partners. You're meant to have someone who's actually doing the daily work over that 9 to 15 months. And then that's where people on the other side, you got the guy who owns a couple car dealerships, or you've got the couple families in town that have a lot of money. They don't necessarily have the time or the want to go ahead and do these projects and put in that sweat equity and the effort, but they're willing to put the money up and be part of the deal. So it's just a matter of figuring out who you collaborate with in your community to go make it happen. And if a deal pencils and a deal makes sense, there is money to be had in any community. And we've worked in towns of 2,000 people all the way up to big cities like LA and San Francisco. If you have a deal that makes sense, you'll find the money. It's just there's very few people willing to take the action to go put the whole deal together and make it happen.
So it's having the visions. You talk about starting without a track record, but you can really realistically get your first project done without a portfolio and get it done really. You get your credibility while you're learning on the job. So you could do all of this without having a track record and getting it done. What is the immediate shift in the perspective?
Yeah, if you think about it, the people. Yeah, I think as the local, you might say, okay, I don't know development. Why would anyone want to work with me? And if you think about it, that's why I'm a big proponent of do local development in your own backyard. Do it in the town that you live in, that you work in, because you know what's missing. You know the people who are there. Your aunt probably knows the broker in town. Your uncle probably is friends with the money guy. You know the architects and engineers. You know each other, so you already have that know and trust, even if it's a little bit further out than mom's friend or something. What's missing. And a lot of times when you're the local doing the project, you're going to get that community support and buy-in because you're so used to people coming from the outside and doing something in your community. It's like, oh, what's this developer going to do to us now? Whereas if it's someone from the inside, they're like, oh, Charlie really has this great idea and I want to go support him. And then the community actually comes together to make it happen. So it's more a mental block for most people to go, wait, someone like me can do development? Really? Is that possible? And it's just taking it one step at a time to figure it out.
I love that because I think a lot of people, especially in smaller towns, think, oh, it would be great to have X here or Y here, but we should have this and a great vision, but I've never done this, or how do I do this? But I guess with a little encouragement and a know-how, or maybe somebody that might be able to get them there, or just a little research, they could really get them into it, and it's just a matter of going for it, right? So can you tell me why maybe some development deals may fall apart?
Typically it's because there's so many stakeholders involved and the length of the project. So you might have a project, I mentioned 9 to 15 months. That's if you're in a smaller project in a smaller town. There's some deals I do that go 4 to 8 years. That means economics are changing. That means your political stuff is changing. So there's lots of variables and factors, and you will never at the start of a development know exactly and completely de-risk it. You will not. Development is inherently risky because of all the stakeholders and the time. Mm-hmm. I don't say that to scare people, but it's just, you're never going to have all the answers. So if you're sitting on the sidelines thinking, man, I really wish someone would do something with that building. It'd be a really great climbing gym. It'd be a really great co-working space or coffee shop. Take the steps to figure out how to start doing it and figure out who the partners in the community are. Who's the architect that could help you? Who is the lender who understands it and goes, oh yeah, we could figure out how to get you a construction loan on that. And just start to take the steps to figure it out, because the reason most deals that died, they stopped because you got to a point where you weren't able to problem solve and get past it. And they're always going to. You're going to have checkpoints along the way where you're constantly evaluating a deal and going. And it's making sure that you continue to look for the solutions and keep pushing through and have that perseverance to go, okay, it's not going to be easy. There will be things that happen, but this is worth it. And you'd mentioned vision several times. And if your vision is strong enough, then you're going to keep fighting through all the hurdles and you're going to keep finding ways to make it happen. Just like any business owner, it's like you're going to find a way to keep the lights on one more day. And eventually then you get to that finish line. You're like, that was worth it.
Yeah. And I think anything worth it, you just got to keep going for it, right? So you had talked about knowing the players that you're working with, and which kind of brings me to the next question. So you got to know the players that you're working with and keeping a handle on all these things, which brings me to opportunities in overlooked markets. We had talked about earlier the smaller markets and why there's there's a lot of opportunity in smaller markets. Would you like to briefly talk on that?
Yeah, smaller. So the way national tenants or larger developers will do when they look into an area, they'll say, I need the demographics to be this. I need the population to be this. I need the number of cars that drive down the street to be that. And they'll have a certain set of standards. When it gets to, and that's primarily in primary and secondary markets, mostly because there's enough population in areas and you can get debt and equity for those deals. They don't have the ability to analyze all of the tertiary markets. So we had talked earlier, we have, I think it's 19,500-ish cities in the US. And of that, 16,000 of them have a population of 10,000 people or less. So the developers, the national tenants, they're playing in that 3,000 city range. We still have 16,000 communities in the US that have plenty of opportunity, but no one's looking at it because they don't know that market. And there's no way you could know every single market inside and out to go, oh, I get it. We just got a big employer in town, which means we're actually getting 500 new jobs. Oh my goodness, we're going to need housing. We're going to need new single family houses. We need townhomes and condos. Somebody has to build them. And because I know you literally have the insider trading by living in your community going, I know what's happening. I know what we're missing. And if you say, okay, we're getting all those jobs, they need a really cool restaurant or maybe a brewery, or maybe they need something for those people to go after work and hang out. So leveraging that insider knowledge is what the outsiders and the big guys don't have. That's why they're not coming and building it, because there's no way they could be the expert of 20,000 cities. So that's why you are positioned as the local to be able to do it. And then you can work with the locals in your community. So the other thing to know is we call them strategic partners. So there's 5 core strategic partners every developer needs. And that's an architect, an engineer, a broker, a lender, and a contractor. Now there's more depending on what the deal is that you'll have, but those are your core. Everyone I just listed doesn't have a job if you don't bring them a project.
Sure.
An architect can't redesign a building if you don't have a project. A contractor can't build or retrofit one. A lender can't give you money. So literally, when you say, I don't have a track record or can I do it, they're literally looking for you. And so while you might not have a track record specifically on development, what did you do for your W-2? What have you done as an entrepreneur? What is your track record for things you have followed through on life? That all matters when you're going into this, and they're all going to bet on you. So whether they decide to work with you or not, they're betting on you to do what you say you're going to do and to finish. And when you're in a smaller town, that's where your credibility of, maybe they don't know the things you did, but you can have a couple of referrals that go, hey, yeah, this person did work with me for a while and they did do this, that, and the other. And then that gives you your credibility to go forward. And on the flip side, there are buildings in your town. You have people, and normally there's a couple of people who build everything in town. Go talk to them. They are more than willing. You would be surprised at how many people you talk to and you say, hey, I'm curious. I would like to learn more. I would like to work with you, or maybe if we could co-develop something together. You would be surprised how willing and able they are to bring you in and go, yeah, let's figure something out. Let's work together.
Yeah, let's get this empty building rocking. Used it, right?
Yeah.
So, love that.
Rising tide raises all ships.
I love that. So the future of our communities, where do you see them going?
So right now, clearly we have technology and AI, and people are not so sure what the future holds.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it's even stronger that we need to focus on things that build community, whether it's our third spaces or if it's within our community itself, that it brings us together. So the more things that we can do that unite the people in our community together. So from a project standpoint, just thinking through different things that you can do in your town, the more things we can do that bring people together to have deeper relationships and connections, those are going to be the things that really move the needle. And I think we're going to start craving and really want to maybe get away from the screen more and interact with people in person. So that's why I think our smaller towns and building the missing third spaces in the communities are going to do very well, regardless of what ends up happening with AI and technology. And I like to look at it from a more optimistic standpoint of, yes, sure, we could be freaked out and AI could take over the world, but okay, if they do that, then we're done. But what if it doesn't? And what if it means we get to have more time to spend with people, and that just building healthy, strong relationships? And so that's where I focus all of my work and thought around, is how do we create spaces and cultivate the programming around doing that?
Sure. I love that. So I think, especially us as a nation, we're craving people, right, and relationships and communication and community. I see it all the time that they're really wanting that, and they're really wanting to go outside and to be together. So I love the idea of communal space where people can get together and do things. If you can do anything to help that, or there's entrepreneurs out there that think they can't, they can. So I love the ideal of that. Kristi, if somebody wanted to find you, where could they go? And if they wanted help and they were like, oh my gosh, I want to do this, but I need a little help, I'm sure that you would be so happy to give your words of wisdom. Where would they go to hunt you down?
I literally just put my name in the internet and it'll find me. So I've got KristiKandel.com. So KristiKandel.com.
Like
And that kind of links out to the different things.
Okay.
Yep. Like the candle, just spelled completely wrong.
Okay.
But yeah, so I've got 3 different companies. So if it's, hey, you're a developer who needs the actual help of taking your deal through, you don't have the time, or you have a big enough project, that's where IND Consulting comes in. If it's you're a local who wants to go in your community and you want to have that backstop, that's where we have local real estate developers. We have a podcast, we have courses, but then also a mentorship program. So you're going through your project, you have that resource to go, oh, okay, you can help me when I hit that roadblock and I go, I don't know what to do next. So that way, as you're actively working on your project, wonderful. You know you have someone to come to.
Love that.
And then I would say the podcast is great because it shares stories of others doing it. So the more you can hear, oh, they did this, they ran into this hurdle, they still pushed through. I think the more we hear stuff like that, the more we go, okay, maybe I can do it.
Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah, and just to know that there are other people out there that was right at the beginning where they were at. And if they want the mentorship, you can help them with that. And IND, and what is IND for? IND Consulting.
So that was the first company I started after I left. I left the golden handcuffs behind. And so back to our vision and our why I wanted something that was big enough to shoot for, that went, okay. It was one of those large goals growing up in a small town in Ohio. And I was like, one day, I think it would be really cool if I could have islands and dolphins. And it was more so to put that far-fetched goal out there to go, hey, if I'm shooting for the moon, even if I miss, how much further did I get because that was a goal I was shooting for? And it was this great idea to have a chain of islands for my friends and I, a fun sports hangout island. You could zip line from island to island, jet ski, ride a dolphin back and forth. And I was like, I'm going to be able to go out on my dock in the morning or at night and have coffee or a glass of wine. My dog will come with me. A dolphin will come by and it'll be great. And I actually did get that when now I don't own the whole island, but I live on an island, had the dolphin, had the dog, had that. And I was like, oh, I think I needed to dream bigger. So hence why Elevate Southwest Florida and now changing the world through our third spaces. But no, the IND really was, and I wouldn't at first, I never told people what it was unless they either became a close partner or client. But it was my daily reminder to go, why am I doing this? Because days are going to get tough. The part of business that happens behind the scenes that nobody realizes as part of business is going to get tough. So my why needs to be strong enough to keep me pushing through. So it was a way to have that constant reminder just in the name itself.
I love it. Islands and dolphins. So if you want to find Kristi Kandel, you're going to look for her website, Kristi Kandel, LinkedIn at Kristi Kandel, and Instagram at Kristi Kandel. Simple. And that is Kristi Kandel, Kandel, Kristi with Kristi, Kandel, Kandel. And she has her company, and that would be IND Consulting. And if you would like to get more information on it, you can look her up. She has a mentoring program. She has a podcast that you can check out and hear other stories. And you can contact her through any of those places. So, Kristi, oh, and I'm so sorry. And if you would like to reach out to me as well, you can contact me at the information provided on there, but would love to help you out as well. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon. There's always more happening beyond the listing. Stick around and catch the next episode for real talk and insights that help you move smarter and farther in real estate.